Evening. I am back today, as I hoped I would be. There have been some thunderstorms in my area, so I hope the connection will stay stable. But we should be good to go, I think. The last Marvel Champions playthrough I did was a lot of fun, so we're gonna do another one of those. I slightly changed my camera setup again, which means that hopefully you guys will be able to see a bigger player area now so that I can show you a little bit more about what's going on. I am going to try out the Hulk Hero Pack for the first time today. Yeah, Dean, hi, welcome back. I hope your connection will be stable, yes. Please let me know if it doesn't stabilize, because it could be on my end then. Anyway, so we're going to be playing through Hulk, and because it's my first time playing with this hero, I've decided to go with Rhino, which is the easiest villain in the base game box, just so I can get the hang of the deck. Plus, I like to beat each of the villains with each hero anyway, so might as well start with the easy one, right? Hi, Cat. You're in the way. Alright, so we are playing Hulk, also known as Bruce Banner, his alter ego mode instead of his hero form, which is how he will start the game. And he has a lot of health. He has 18 health. And he's matched up against Rhino with 14 health, aka hit points. And our goal is to bring Rhino down to 0. But when we do so, like any good super villain, he will go back and then come back with a vengeance. So he will come back even stronger. If you played this multiplayer, it's a cooperative game for up to 4 players. If you played it multiplayer, the hit points are per player. So if you are playing a 4-player game, these hit points would be this amount times 4. But we're playing solo, which is a lot more brutal, and you can definitely lose quickly. But you can also win quickly, and the games go really fast, and I really like the flow of them. And of course, there's nothing preventing you from playing multiple heroes solo as well, but it really works well as a true solo game. So we win by bringing down Rhino's hit points for all of his stages down to 0. We lose if he brings us down to 0 hit points, or if he completes his master plan, because obviously every villain needs a master plan, you guys. So in this case, Rhino wants to break in, and if he manages to do that and steal a whole shipment of vibranium, the world will be in trouble. So yeah, let's try to prevent that. And that happens when there's 7 threat per player. So in the solo game, 7 threat period, which are these little markers up here. And at the end of each of my rounds, he will get a turn, and it says 1 threat per player per round. So that means in 7 turns we would be game over if we don't fix that. Once per turn, we can flip through our hero form, or if we're already in hero form, we can flip back to our alter ego side. If we're in hero mode, we can attack the villain, or we can try to prevent his evil plans with thwarting, but Hulk is just in a fit of a rage. He's not smart enough, he can't think clearly enough to actually thwart. So Hulk is an interesting hero that way, because he can't actually prevent the villain's master plan. He can just beat down really hard on Rhino, because he's the Hulk, guys. We're gonna Hulk smash, hopefully. So yeah, that's the plan. He also only has a hand size of 4, because he can't think very clearly. And when my turn ends, I have to discard my hand when I'm in Hulk mode, so I can't plan ahead for a next turn either. Compared to Bruce Banner, which has a good recovery rate and a hand size of 5, so 1 card more, which is great. This is the active playing area, and below here I'm going to draw cards from my hand. So we're going to start the game in alter ego mode and draw up to our hand size of 5. And we can use a mulligan, so if we get cards that we don't really want to use at the beginning, we can discard them before we actually start the game and then refresh our hand that way. There's different cards in the game. You always have the cards from your hero's deck, which are the green Hulk cards. Then you have a particular aspect. The pre-built Hulk deck comes with aggression, but there's also other aspects in the game: protection, justice, and leadership. And you can mix and match those packs as you go, or you can decide to fully build a deck if you prefer. Hi Paul, hi Jason. It's really good to see you guys. So yeah, that's how that goes. And then you have the gray cards, which are basic cards that can be included with any hero in any aspect. These little icons are resources, and you can use those to pay for other cards. This one doesn't actually have an ability except to pay for other cards. These numbers mean if I'm going to bring these into play, I need to discard a certain amount of resource icons. So I can bring this card into play by discarding the 2 icons from this card. And then you have different types of cards. Events are one use only and trigger straight away. Upgrades and support cards are permanent abilities. Upgrades usually attached to your actual hero, and support cards are just out in play generally. You also have allies. Those are generally weaker heroes that can fight with you temporarily. And I think that about covers us. Let's see what cards we've got. I purposefully did not read through the deck before we started this live stream, so just like you guys, this deck is all new to me, so we're gonna figure it out. I'm not sure you guys can actually read the cards, but I'll run you through it as well. So this one doesn't do anything except provide resources. This is a Hulk card that we don't know yet, so let's see what this does. This says hero action, which means I can only play it when I'm in my hero mode, not in my alter ego mode. It would cost me 3 resources to play, and it says I can remove 3 threat from a scheme, or 5 if I paid for it using only the aggression symbol. So this would be one of the few ways, or at least I expect one of the few ways, that Hulk can lower the threat on the main scheme and prevent the villain from completing his evil mission. Which is not useful yet, because there's no threat there. What else do we have? This says we can exhaust this card, and exhausting means you tap it so you turn it to the side, and that means it's used for that round. And that would generate a resource for an attack event, so this one can help pay for other cards, and it's permanent, but it's 1 per round. That seems nice. This says we can choose an enemy to attack us, but then after they attack us we can deal them 5 damage. That's not bad. And this says I have to pay for this using the fist symbols. And then I can deal damage equal to my basic attack power, which is currently 3. But I'm assuming since it's Hulk that we're gonna have ways to upgrade him and make him stronger. I also have experimental research as my Bruce Banner ability. And using one of the abilities on your hero does not exhaust him unless the card says otherwise. And using one of the main abilities, so in this case healing or attacking or defending, does exhaust the hero. Or thwarting, but you know, Hulk doesn't thwart. Hulk smash. So we can just, might as well do this. We can draw 1 card, and then we can choose 1 card from our hand to discard. So we can just draw another one and see if it's better. This says I get +4 hit points. And I gain +1 retaliate. And that's permanent, so I assume that means I'm gonna be able to increase this permanently. That would be nice. This is what you get when you're playing new cards, guys. You run into questions. But yeah, I assume that's actually gonna increase this, so that's nice. It's not on my little cheat sheet. That's mean. But yeah, otherwise it would usually be recover hit points. But because this says you get +4 hit points, I would assume it's permanent because it's a condition. That would be a really nice upgrade. And retaliate would mean that anytime I get attacked, I get to attack back. So this seems like a really powerful one to bring into play. Let's throw this one out. And now we're just going to try and play as much as we can because I'm going to switch to Hulk mode. And Hulk says I have to discard my hands at the end of the round anyway, so I might as well try to play everything. I definitely want to bring this upgrade into play. So I'm going to discard 3. Let's see, this one, and I might as well discard this one, I suppose. I actually have to think about what I'm going to play next, because if I want to play this one, I have to pay for it with this one. If I want to play this one, I can pay with anything. This would let us take damage, but we would get to damage him back, which is nice. And this is a permanent one, so this will be nicer, but we won't be able to afford doing this one, so that's sad. This only attacks 3 instead of 5, but it doesn't have us take any damage, so that would still be kind of nice. We do have a retaliate. I think I prefer this one. Okay, we're gonna toss out this. So we paid 3 resource icons to pay for the one that says 3. We attach this to Hulk, because it's an upgrade. It says get +4 hit points, and I'm going to assume that means increase this one. Because otherwise it should say recover. So I assume that means we now have 22 hit points, which seems in line for Hulk. He's supposed to be very strong and not very smart, so he kind of needs to stay in his Hulk mode to just smash Rhino to a pulp before Rhino gets anything done. That seems valid. Alright. I can use my basic attack now for 3, or I can absorb some of the damage that he's gonna deal to me, which I think might be a little smarter at this point. Yeah, we have enough hit points, who cares? We're just gonna attack with our basic attack first, which is 3. So Rhino goes down 3 hit points. Hi, cat. And then I want to play toe-to-toe, which has to be paid for with 1 resource, so we're discarding this. And it says choose an enemy. Ta-da! And now the enemy attacks me. Anytime you pick a villain to attack you, the villain could also bring out minions at some point. Yeah, Rhino versus the mighty cattail for sure. Are you helping, Leighton? Anyway, so anytime the villain attacks you, he has a basic attack power, but anytime a villain attacks instead of a minion, you also draw a booster card for him. Let me just get those. I should make a discard pile for this somewhere. Let's do it this way. Alright, so we're drawing and then we're looking for any red icons at the bottom here, which there are currently none, so the attack power remains 2. So we get dealt 2 damage. And we gained retaliate 1, so that means Rhino goes down 1. And then we actually get to deal 5 damage, so Rhino's already down to 5. Yay! Hulk is definitely a very aggressive playstyle. I also showed an aggression deck last time, so this might seem a little bit less varied to you guys, but it was She-Hulk last time, so I thought it was nice to play She-Hulk and Hulk back to back for you guys. Plus, She-Hulk is from the base game, and this one is from one of the expansion hero packs. And I know not everybody has had the chance to play with these hero packs. I don't think this one is even out in the US. It only released in Europe last week, so this way you guys get a sneak peek. So we exhausted with our main attack. I forgot to actually exhaust him. So we did the entire player phase. We played cards, we triggered actions, and in a multiplayer game you can request other players to do stuff for you to help. We could only change our form once per round, which we did. Hulk said we had to discard our hand at the end of the turn, but we didn't have any cards left. And after all players have finished their turn, which is now because it's just me, then I get to discard any number of cards from my hand, which is invalid in Hulk mode anyway. But usually you would be able to do that before refilling your hand. Then you refill your hand and you make all your cards ready again, which means you put them all back. And remember, there can be a different hand size. Hulk only has a hand size of 4 compared to Bruce Banner's hand size of 5. And then we flip this. Not sure if you guys can actually read the text, but in case you can, there you go. You go to the villain phase and it says step 1, you place threat on the main scheme. So this gets 1 threat. There we go. I remember we were game over if this hits 7. Then the villain and any minions he might have brought out attack me. If I'm in hero mode. If I'm just walking down the street in alter ego mode, he isn't threatened by me, he can't find me, he doesn't know who I am. So instead he would work on his missions some more. Which is really dangerous for a hero that doesn't have any thwart. But some heroes will have you swap back and forth an awful lot. The She-Hulk had me change forms a lot more, because she had an attack every time she switched back into She-Hulk mode. I think with Hulk and his many hit points, I think the goal is to just kind of stay in hero mode, take the damage and bring him down before the threat builds up too much. I think that's the recommended way here. I'll happily do another stream sometime with another hero that focuses more on swapping back and forth more. And having lower stats, maybe a higher hand size and a lower health. So you can also see how recovery works, because I don't think Hulk is in danger of dying anytime soon. But we might still lose horribly if the villain starts scheming a bunch. He won't start scheming in basics as long as I keep in this mode, because he can only scheme when I'm in this mode. But some of the cards in this encounter deck might change that. So, alright, he did this. He's gonna attack, so that's an attack power of 2, and then we draw a booster card. You see this little red icon at the bottom? Let me pull that up to the camera. This one. Whenever you draw a booster card, ignore the entire card, just look at that little angle, and it can have 0 or 1 or 2. And if you start playing other villains, it might have a star with a special ability as well. In this case, it's 1 booster icon. So 2 plus 1 is 3, which means we take 3 damage. So we're down to 17. There we go. I should probably look at the cards we drew in case we had anything we wanted to play on that. Oh, that's nice. This says whenever Hulk goes... It's the Hulk Smash, guys. We found it. Whenever we make a basic attack, you get plus 10 for that attack. So he would have an attack power of 13 at this point. And if you paid for it with only fist icons, so only the aggression symbols, then he would gain overkill. And overkill means if you're attacking an enemy, so maybe you're attacking a minion from Rhino instead of Rhino himself, and the villain or the minion or whatever, something dies, and you have damage left, and you can transfer that damage onto somebody else. So that's always nice. But yeah, that wasn't interesting. And after his attack, every player gets one encounter, because it would be boring if he just attacks you and hits you and goes away again. So something special is gonna happen. So we now draw another card, and in this case we do resolve it. In this case we revealed a side scheme, which means another little mission in addition to his main one. And this is a bomb scare. It says when revealed, place 1 additional threat per player plus 2 base, so that means 3 threat. It also says an acceleration token, which says at the start of the villain phase there would now be 2 threat here each round instead of 1. I can work on trying to bring this threat down or just bringing this one down so that the +1 acceleration token gets thrown out once I defeat this. But I think with Hulk, because we don't have a thwart ability, that's going to be hard, so we're going to have to work even harder just to beat Rhino down before this happens. Let's see if we can make that happen. So that would be the end of the villain phase. You would pass a first player token if you were playing multiplayer, and then you continue with the player turn. What do we have? These are just cards to pay for a whole bunch of stuff, which is not very useful. This one we do want to play. Let's just start with this. We're going to make a basic attack, and then we're going to go interrupt in hero mode. Whenever we make a basic attack, get +10 for that attack, and it gains overkill. And I'm going to assume because it gains overkill that the rest of the damage can be tossed onto the second form of Rhino. But it's one of the few instances where the rulebook isn't clear if you can use overkill on the respawned villain. I will double check, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't actually say so. Yeah, it says if an attack with overkill defeats a minion, excess damage from the attack, so beyond the remaining hit points, is dealt to the villain. I would assume that's the same thing when actually defeating the villain for the first time. Let's see if it says anything with villain defeat that will say something else. Yeah, it says normally excess damage dealt to defeat a villain does not carry over to the new stage, but overkill does carry, so I'm gonna assume in this case that it does, which would be nice. So we're going to pay for this, and we're going to pay for this with only red tokens, otherwise we wouldn't gain the overkill, and then we can't damage the second Rhino stage. This might be a really short stream, guys. I think we got quite lucky on our card draws. So +10, it means an attack power of 13. So we're first going to take Rhino down 5. And then we have, how many is that? 8 left. Rhino 1 is dead, and then he comes back with 15 hit points. There we go. And before we take off 8 of those, we have to say, when revealed, search this encounter deck and get the breaking and taking side scheme out. So he's gonna do other evil stuff now. And of course, after searching a deck, always shuffle it. Breaking and taking. When revealed, place 1 additional threat per player, so that's another 3. And this says any villain phase, we would get an extra encounter card. And that will be 1 encounter card only. So if you play a multiplayer game, only the starting player would get 2 encounters, everybody else would get 1. In this case, I just get 2 every time. And now he goes down 8, so he's down to 7. If this threat doesn't build up too much, we should be able to do this. Technically, we can lose. If we get him to scheme twice, then we would be kind of screwed now. This is a nice one because it's expensive to pay for, and Hulk doesn't have a lot of cards, but I'm not going to risk swapping to the other side because then the villain will scheme, and it's 1 plus a booster of up to 2, so he could scheme 3 plus the basic 2, and then we would be pretty much game over already. So let's not do that. I have exhausted Hulk, and I'm going to end my turn because Hulk did a basic attack. And then when my turn ends, I discard my hand because that's what Hulk says. And then we redraw up to 4. Oh, we forgot to retaliate 1 when he attacked us in the villain phase. He actually has 1 less health even. That's nice. I'm definitely gonna have to try Hulk against a stronger villain because this seems really easy. Even with the threat being all scary now. Okay, villain phase again, you guys. So this now gets 2 threat instead of 1. So that's up to 3. Then he attacks, which is now an attack power of 3 plus a booster. That's 1, so that's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 13. That's still nowhere near dying, so that's nice. And then we get 2 encounters, which is less nice. Let's see what the first one is. Treachery. Uh-oh. This is pretty much one of the worst ones you can draw. Oh no, this isn't that bad. I thought this was the one that brought your nemesis into play, which is also a treachery card. Once you play with heroes that have ways to prevent it, like for example, Spider-Man has a couple in the deck that lets you discard a treachery card. I tend to try and keep one of those on hand as a defense mechanism in case the game tries to bring out your nemesis. Basically, whenever you bring out a nemesis, the game becomes a whole lot harder. In a solo game, you're usually screwed. In a multiplayer game, you can maybe manage it with the help of your friends. Anyway, we'll see which form we're in. We're in hero form. So that says Rhino now attacks you again. Which means we're going to do the basic attack power, which is 3 plus another booster card is 1. So it's another 4 damage. And the card also said if we got damaged by this attack, we would also get stunned. Uh-oh, I left my stun cards in the box. Please hold. I knew I was forgetting something. Still a really easy and quick setup though. There we go. There are my cards. A stun card. So the Hulk is now stunned. That says the next time he would attack, the attack would do absolutely nothing and we would just discard the stun card instead. So it might be a little harder, especially since we only have so few cards to actually knock out Rhino. But we'll see. That was only the first encounter, and because of the breaking and taking scheme, we now get a second encounter. A Hydra Bomber minion. We can now choose to take... Oh, I forgot to retaliate again. Yeah, retaliate is not an attack, so that doesn't get rid of stunt. We can now choose to either take 2 damage or place 1 threat on the main scheme. I'm gonna go for the damage. Because the threat is definitely a bigger issue than the damage. He gets 2 health, so we get to try and kill him as well. This is not a bad minion. Some of the minions have a guard ability, which means you have to kill them before you can continue attacking Rhino. There's also ways for Rhino to get armor, but so far the encounters we've gotten don't make our life a whole lot more difficult. So I'm still pretty pleased with this. I think we can pull this off, but knock on wood, we'll never know. Let's try it. This says we can remove 3 threat from a scheme, which would be kind of nice at this point. That's also expensive. It will take up all our other cards. This would say Hulk gets +1 attack, but only for as long as I'm in Hulk mode. The second I decide to go to my other form, I would lose that. And this one says I can deal additional damage. That way we'd get to attack twice. And then he would be almost dead. Because he would have an attack power of 4 and then Rhino would be left with 1 health. It's risky, but I think that's a good idea. And this would be a very strong minion, but it's a strong ally, so one of our helpers. But he's really expensive to bring into play. The nice part about allies is that you can use them to defend. So this ally has 5 hit points. And anytime they thwart or attack, having allies with thwart is also nice in Hulk's case. But they will take 1 damage. But whenever the villain would attack you, you can throw your ally in front of you, basically. And they can defend you and they can take the damage instead. But in this case, I don't think that's all that interesting. I'm going to throw that out and go for... I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go for on the attack and hope it works. Ah, Imi, go away. Don't walk through my game. Okay, so this is another upgrade. Hulk gets +1 attack. Yay. Oh, he would be dead now. We don't even... I was thinking maybe the encounter could kill us if we're unlucky, but we won't get to the encounter because Rhino will attack us. And that will have a retaliate 1 and that would bring down his last hit points. I think we just won, guys. That's anticlimactic. Alright, so we're going to do our basic attack first, which is 3 + 1 now, so that's 4. But the first time we attack isn't going to do anything, it just gets rid of stun and it exhausts our hero. Then we can deliver a crushing blow by discarding another card. And I have to discard a physical resource, but this one is a physical resource, so that's okay. And it says deal damage to an enemy equal to our attack. 3 plus 1 is 4. And now we don't have stun anymore, so he does go down 4. Yay! So now he just has 1. We would be able to refill our hand, which honestly isn't all that useful anymore, but let's do it just for the sake of it. Ready our hero. Then there's 2 more threat on this scheme, which would be a problem because it would be at 5 out of 7. And if we would draw a card that says the villain schemes, we would be in huge trouble. But we're not really yet because we have Retaliate 1. So both the villain and the minions engage us. So he would just attack us once. And then because we have Retaliate, the Hydra Bomber gets 1 damage, which honestly isn't really all that interesting. And then Hulk gets to attack, and then we get to be attacked, but we still have 6 damage and the boosts only go up to 2. 3 plus 2 is 5. Well, that's tricky. That would be very dangerous. Look, guys, 1 HP. But Retaliate 1, so now we get to knock down Rhino's last hit point. And by the skin of our teeth, we survive and win. And Dean is saying we should pit Hulk against Ultron. That would be a lot more of a challenge, yes. Maybe some other time. But yeah, in this case, we managed to pull off a win by the skin of our teeth. But we did it. Yay, us. So that would be it for this one. That was much quicker than I anticipated. I don't know if you guys are up for another villain or another hero, but I would be fine taking a really quick break to feed my pets and then being back in like 20-25 minutes and run through another hero with you guys. Because I still have 2 heroes I haven't played yet, Doctor Strange and Thor. Doctor Strange works a little weird with a spell deck, but Thor uses the same rules, no weird additional things. So I'd be willing to try that one out with you guys and see what that offers. That is another hero that focuses on aggression though, so you guys are never gonna get to see another aspect this way. We could also go for Doctor Strange with his protection ability, but those tend to play a lot slower. So I think it would be better to focus on 2 quicker games this time. And then tomorrow I go on a short holiday for a week in a nice little isolated quarantine-proof cabin in the woods. And I will have Wi-Fi, but I will also be with 2 friends that I'm quarantining with, so I won't be live streaming. I'll still be posting to Instagram and stuff like that, but I won't be live streaming. And then when I'm back from my holiday, we can try to run through some of the slower heroes and the tougher villains and play a longer game of this. For now, I'm gonna say goodbye to you guys. Clean up this, reshuffle the villain deck, and then bring out Thor. Maybe even swap out Rhino for Claw so you guys can see another villain, but I'll see if I have enough time for that. If not, we'll do that after my holiday. But I will be back to show you guys Thor in about 20 to 25 minutes. Stick around, and I hope to see you guys in a bit. Bye everybody, thanks for watching.